We need to think about and listen to good things. And conversely, we need to stop reading bad things, things of no redeeming value, no help. One good thing you can sometimes do for your mind and your brain, for your mental improvement, is to turn off the hate radio. Just turn it off. Turn off the television once in a while. You don't need to fill your mind with hatred of anybody. Words change us. There are trash tabloids and fear-mongering religious tracts. Sometimes people come knocking at your door with garbage. It goes into the garbage. You are not junk, as it suggests. You are not to live in fear, as these titles suggest. They fill your mind with their content. They shape your mind in such a way that you become a fear-based person. You don't need that. God says nothing can separate you from God's love. Nothing. As a follower of Jesus, you don't have to fill your mind with trash thinking that shapes you into thinking like the people who are purveying that stuff, while they're working mischief and bad treatment of other people. There's all kinds of this stuff that goes on all the time. Some of it goes on beyond behind closed doors. I don't know if you've been hearing the news about an organization that's called ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. Following, this is a DC-based advocacy organization. It's funded by the Koch family foundation, ExxonMobil, and a lot of other oil companies, a lot of other big corporations. ALEC writes legislative templates to give to state lawmakers in all 50 states who don't want to go through the hassle of writing their own bills. Reagan Weber, ALEC's Senior Director of Public Affairs, claims the group has produced 800 to 1,000 pieces of so-called model legislation. Access to those templates is restricted to the legislators who pay $100 for 2-year membership. Makes it difficult to trace the bill's language back to ALEC. With legislators and corporations have membership in ALEC, the $100 is 2% of their budget. Corporations make up the remaining 98%. And corporations sit on all 9 of the task forces to vote on these model legislation. They have their own corporate governing board, which meets jointly, the corporations do. ALEC says the corporations don't vote on the board. However, they present all the legislation. The corporations fund almost all of these operations. Participating legislators then bring these proposals home and introduce them to state houses across the land as their own brilliant ideas and their own important public policy innovation, without disclosing that corporations have in fact crafted these bills. ALEC boasts that it has over 1,000 bills introduced by legislative members every year, with 1 in 5 of them enacted into law. They publish such documents as the State Legislator's Guide to Repealing Obamacare. The fact that the corporate board writing this includes a lot of insurance companies and the like probably doesn't have anything to do with the language of the legislation, I'm sure. Corporations on the ALEC board members include the bail bond industry and the private prison industry, who are very much interested in gaining non-violent prison clients. The template for the infamous SB 1070 in Arizona was drafted by ALEC, whose private prison-owning members are making money every time a brown person is detained. Now, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? Almost all the new laws that criminalize people for being undocumented, similar to those that used to criminalize you if you're gay, have their source in this organization and corporate members that make money by housing nonviolent people whom they've now gotten the legislature to name as criminals. ExxonMobil is another corporate member. And don't you know that anti-clean air bills seem to be something that they're very much interested in? Now, it's important that you, as a follower of Jesus, keep your mind like Jesus kept his mind. You keep your mind sharp so that you not only know what the legislator is voting, but where they're getting it from and who benefits, who pays. Because Jesus talks about God's kingdom in this world, God's reign in this world. Jesus was sharp on who's benefiting and who is suffering. And he was professing God's economics and God's politics, the reign of God, remember? In the place of the Roman government and the Jewish puppet government. Pontius Pilate did not crucify Jesus to pay for people's sins. Jesus pulled up the cover on those who were keeping the poor down. It was the common folk who cheered Jesus on as he came into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, and the powers that be that hung him out to dry on Friday. Jesus said, I want you, my followers, to be as wise as serpents, but as gentle as doves. As human beings, we don't just shape this physical side of us or this intellectual side of us. So that's really critically important. As human beings, we are sentient human beings. We feel. As difficult as it can be, we try to know our feelings. We try to know ourselves and to exercise and to practice good emotional health so that we get in shape and we become more emotionally healthy, more emotionally integrated. It's appropriate to express anger appropriately, but it isn't appropriate to go off on everybody or give hand signals to the driver who was not aware of cutting you off personally. It's not okay to rage at people and to be violent in your speech and actions towards them. If somebody you love doesn't love you, it's not okay to stalk them. It's not. Really. Part of being human is being feeling, to get our feelings in the appropriate place. And we do whatever it takes to do that. We are people in progress. We are people in motion. We are people being transformed. And part of being human means being spiritual. Spirituality isn't just about your relationship with God, although that's included. It's about our ability to have a relationship with anybody. It's about relationships with one another, a relationship with something larger than ourselves, the universe, God. Spirituality is about being able to form a bond with another human being, to see ourselves as part of, see ourselves as together with, not always having to be better than somebody, not having to walk in a room and say, well, where do I fit? But just seeing myself as part of. And spirituality is about being in relationship with ourselves, having appropriate concern and love for myself, seeing myself as a work of God, myself as a work of God in progress. How are you with yourself? It's a good thing to think about this summer. How are you with yourself? When nobody else is around, are you comfortable? Are you comfortable in your own skin? Or do you find, if you find yourself alone, do you have to get with somebody else right away, or you go crazy? Or do you have to depend on substances, or food, or shopping, or sex to know that you're alive? If you see yourself only as a person who really has their act together, or if you see yourself as a piece of trash, that's not good spiritual shape. It's not honest. As a spiritual person, you reflect and you look. You're in God's image. You are. And where is God at work in your life? And how do you see how marvelous the universe is and how God is at work in the person next to you, the person you love? Your pets. Can you see God in the God in your neighbor. The book of Genesis and the letter to the Romans both talk about this creation and this new creation of which